In this section, we're going to look at different tests that are used to assess children. I'd first like to compare achievement tests versus cognitive abilities tests. Achievement tests measure a student's current level of achievement. What does this student know? Achievement tests usually cover a variety of content areas. This kind of test includes sections or subsections to test the student's math or reading abilities. It may also include tests on science, social studies, humanities, and more specific areas such as spelling, grammar, problem solving, and math reasoning. Different achievement tests may be given either individually or in a group. Achievement tests cover a fixed body of knowledge. On the other hand, cognitive abilities tests are designed to measure a student's potential. How well does this student think and learn? I'd also like to compare the IQ test to cognitive abilities test. The term IQ, or intelligence quotient, generally describes a score on a test that rates your cognitive ability as compared to the general population. There is a high positive correlation between IQ and success in school and the workplace, but there are many cases where IQ and success do not coincide. For the most part, adult IQ scores don't significantly increase over time. Cognitive abilities tests, on the other hand, measure your cognitive abilities, and these are abilities that can be trained and improved. Cognitive processes dealing with novelty, fluid intelligence, are just as important as acquired knowledge, which is crystallized intelligence. It takes both to keep your mental edge. Cognitive abilities are the brain-based skills and mental processes needed to carry out any tasks and have more to do with the mechanisms of how you learn, how you remember, and how you pay attention, rather than any actual knowledge you have learned. There is evidence that maintaining an intellectually stimulating atmosphere by learning new skills or solving problems boosts cognitive ability, similar to the way maintaining an exercise regime boosts physical ability. But these changes do not necessarily have much effect on IQ scores. Teachers often ask me, what do the tests that we give the children to qualify them for the Gifted and Talented program look like? And clearly they're different than the achievement tests. They're not things that children can study for per se. And so what I'd like to do in this next section is show you some examples of what the test might look like. We're going to start with the Cognitive Abilities Test, also known as the COGAT. It's designed for kindergarten through 12th grade, and it measures students' learned reasoning abilities in 3 areas, most linked to academic success in school. These 3 areas are verbal, quantitative, and nonverbal. Its primary goal is to assess students' acquired reasoning abilities. The COGAT is not an IQ test, although there is a correlation between innate ability and one's performance. The COGAT is often used to help educators make student placement decisions for gifted and talented programs. Here are some examples from the COGAT test. I can't show you the actual test itself, but these are some samples that you can find on the internet. It starts from pre-K and goes all the way through 5th grade. So if you look at the first question, you look at the top row and you see that they're all alike, so you would pick the one on the bottom row that's like it. This would be a nonverbal skill that they're looking at. On the next row, you're looking at patterns, so you can see the beads are gradually going down by 1, so you would select the one that has no beads on it, so that would be the second row because there are no beads on that one. Here you see the pattern again. It's going 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, so you'd select the one that has 2 beads on the abacus, so that would be the third one. The next one, you're looking at visual analogies, again another nonverbal skill. You have big, little, then you have little, and then you're going to select big because it goes big, little, and then little, big. It's E. The answer is E. On the next one, this goes with this one, like this one goes with which one? Well, since these two are the same, we'd have to select the one that's the same, so we would select the third one. Now the next section that we get into is a verbal question. It asks you, what would a fireman use? And we know that firemen put out fires with hoses, so we'll pick the hose. On the next one we have what would you find in a bathtub? Another verbal question. I'm sorry, what would you find in a bathroom? You'd find a bathtub. On the next one, we're looking at, this is a first grade question. You see all the top row are triangles, so on the bottom row you would choose the triangle, which would be the first one. The next one, you're looking at the shapes and you're asking yourself, how do they go together? And then you look down here to find which one would go with it. And according to my cheat sheet, it would be this one. The next part, every one of the COGAT tests that I've seen has had paper folding on it. So the children have to look at how they're folding the paper and then where the circle is cut. So when the paper is open, where would the circles be? And you can see they would be right on top of each other on the left side. So we'll pick the fourth one. On the next one we go down, there's another paper folding one. You have to see which direction they're folding. They're folding it up on the diagonal. So when you open it up, you would choose this one right here, the third picture, because that's what it would look like when it's opened. And the next one, it's again another nonverbal analogy. It goes from white to half white, half black. So now we've got the opposite. It's black, so we're going to go half black, half white, but on the opposite side. So that would be the first one. On the next one, we're moving up to the third and fourth grade type levels. And this would be a verbal question, and it asks you, look at the first three words. They go together some way. So alarm, horror, revulsion would go with aversion. Then you're getting into the quantitative section. 4 plus 7 plus 10 is equal to 10 plus what plus 4? And obviously it's 7. On the next one, it's a little bit more difficult. Warts is to straw, as snap is to what? Actually, when we're looking at this, warts is to straw. It's actually, warts is spelled backwards and it's straw. So snap spelled backwards would be pans. Alright, on the next section you're looking at number patterns. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. What would come next? Well, it appears that they're adding 12 each time, so I would select 72. And on the next one you're looking at these three shapes and asking how they're going together, and each one of them has 7 sides. So I'm going to choose the one that has 7 sides. On the next one, we're looking at these three, asking ourselves how they go together. Well, what I notice in each one of them is that a quarter of the picture is left white. So I'm going to find the answer over on this side, that a quarter is left white, and that would be E. So I will select E. The next is a math equation. Triangle times something equals 800. If triangle is 80, what would go in the question mark? Clearly that's 10, because 10 times 80 is 800. And on the next one, 12 over n, if n is equal to 4, then the answer to that question would be 3. These are examples of questions that a student might see when he's taking the COGAT test. Another cognitive test that is on the market is the Otis Lennon School Ability Test, also known as the OLSAT. The OLSAT measures cognitive abilities that relate to a student's academic success in school. By assessing a student's verbal, nonverbal, and quantitative ability, the OLSAT supplies educators with valuable information to enhance the insights gained from traditional achievement tests. The OLSAT is very similar to the COGAT, but there are a few differences that I'm going to point out as we go through some of these practice questions. This begins at the kindergarten pre-K level, where the words are actually read to the student. So the teacher would read these words and the child would have to find the image that completes the question. Here they're pointing to the two letters that are different sizes. Here they have to look at the pictures to see which one shows two boys who are tired after playing ball. But this question right here, this is where it's extremely different from the COGAT test. These children on these tests have to listen to a very long sentence or short little story, and then after hearing it, they have to make the right selection. So this is very much based on their ability to listen, comprehend, and find the right answer. So I'm just going to give you an example. Question number 4, it says, the children have to listen to this. Look at the lunch at the beginning of the row. It shows Allie's lunch. She has a sandwich, a cookie, a banana, and a glass of chocolate milk. She wasn't very hungry today, so she ate half her sandwich, a bite of her cookie, half her banana, and she drank her chocolate milk. Mark the picture that shows what she ate. Now these questions are very difficult for children who have auditory processing skills difficulties, and that they have to listen to it, they have to hear it, and you can't repeat it. So a lot of times they don't catch every single thing, and this is a difficult question for them. Continuing on, again, it's something that you have to listen to. The question says, point to the picture that shows this. There is a number inside of a circle. So, on this question, they have to know what a number is, they have to know what inside is, and they have to follow the teacher's auditory reading. And so a lot of times the children get hung up on that part. Here we see, although traditionally you don't have a difference in the quantitative score on this test, it clearly has a lot of math embedded in here. So this question is said, children have to listen to you read this. Do you see the children in the first box? Each child needs 2 pencils for school. Point to the box that shows how many pencils the children need altogether. So this would be a question where they have to see that there's 4. They're going to have to double that. And a lot of times the children see 4 children, they pick 4 pencils. So this is also a difficult question for them. Here they have to find the, if there's one alien for each window, which one is it? Here's another one where you have to have the same number of balloons as you have fingers on one hand. This would be a verbal question because a child would have to know what the word unsanitary means. So this would clearly put a child with English as a second language at a severe disadvantage. On this one, they have to, they want to know how many cupcakes would fit in this box if you want to leave room for 2 cupcakes. So there again, they have to pay attention to each detail that's read in the sentence. Here is a nonverbal question on the OLSAT. And then verbal questions, which one does not belong? If you have shirts, pants, coat, sweater, and a ring, which one doesn't belong? Clearly it's a ring. What's the opposite of happy? Sad. Select the number that belongs in the empty space. So you have patterns very similar to the other COGAT test. Here you need to find which one doesn't belong. Another nonverbal question, so the children have to look carefully at the details to choose the picture that doesn't belong in that sequence. Going on to the 5th and 6th grade level, you can see a verbal question here which one does not belong. So think about a child who's learning our language. This would not be a good test for them. You have bestow, fascinate, enthrall, charm, and enchant. Which one doesn't belong? Clearly it's bestow, but for a child learning the language, that wouldn't be so clear. The next one, what is the opposite of servile? Again, very difficult vocabulary. So choose the, another part of this test is sentence completion. So they read the sentence and find which word needs to go in that blank. And here you can see an example of a non-verbal question. They need to see if this is what's happening, which one would come next, and they would have to select which one comes next. So these, as you can see, there's some things that are similar to the COGAT test, and there's other clear differences. Another difference between the OLSAT and the COGAT is that the OLSAT is, for grades 3 through 5, is given in a single setting. The children begin, they have approximately 40 minutes to finish the test, whereas in the COGAT it's divided up into sections, very short sections. So, you know, when you're deciding which test is best for a child, if a child is easily distracted or doesn't have that perseverance, the COGAT might be a better test. For a child that can sustain, you know, a long time and just wants to sit and get it done in one setting, the OLSAT would be a different, better test for that child. So really, you know, deciding which test would be best for the child, there's a lot of factors that go into it. The last test that I want to look at in this segment is the Naglieri Nonverbal Ability Test, second edition, also known as the NNAT2. This test uses progressive matrices to allow for a culturally neutral evaluation of students' nonverbal reasoning and general problem-solving ability, regardless of the individual student's primary language, education, culture, or socioeconomic background. This would be a good test for identifying our under-identified students, populations. Maybe they're ESL, maybe they don't come from a language-rich environment. This might be a better assessment to really find their logic abilities or problem-solving abilities. On the NNAT2, it's very different than the other two tests. They have directions at the very beginning that you say verbally, but they also have the nonverbal pictures that go with it to really help the children understand exactly what they need to do. Then throughout the whole test, there isn't any directions, verbal directions. They just have to look at the picture and decide what the correct answer is. So as you can see here in the first question, for pre-K or kindergarten, they look at these two shapes, see how they go together, and then they can look at these two shapes and have them go together in the same way. So you can see that since these are facing the same direction, the moon has to be facing the same direction. So that would be your right answer. Then on the next one, you see the flags, and you have red, white circle, red circle. So there you have green, white, green, and so it's going to be the different pattern. It's going to be white, green, white. So it would be the first answer there. On the next one, you can see that in both of the boxes, the background is colored blue, and the inside box has a color. So we're going to look at this one, and you see both of the boxes are going to be blue, and the inside box is going to be colored. So that is the correct answer for that is the first one there. This one's a little bit different. If you can notice, the bottom shape is colored and then it's not colored. The top shape is not colored and then it is colored. And then you have to also notice that these two are different shapes. So since this one's not colored, this one needs to be colored. This is a cross. This one needs to be the heart. So this would be the right answer down here on the end, the fourth answer. And then on this one, it's getting even more difficult. This is for a fourth grader. They have to look and see what's happening. And if you look at this, you can see that this arrow is slightly turning. It's rotating. This shape is slightly rotating. So the star has to slightly rotate, which makes it really difficult to see that star rotating. And then they also have to pay attention to the fact that these are all solid colors. These are all colored in half. And then on this one, the opposite half is colored in. So the correct answer would be A. And finally, the last practice question that they show us, they have to look at these, and then they look at these, and decide how they go together. So if we look at the top box, you can see that the diamond has changed colors from black to white, and then the circle is inside the diamond, and it has changed from white to black. So you can see on the next one where the heart is changing from white to black. The square goes in the middle of it. It's changing from black to white. So on this one, you're going to have the square, and it's going to change to the color of the star. So the square is going to be striped, and then the star will be black. So the correct answer would be D. So this gives you an idea of what this test looks like. It's really not very easy, but it is language. It's not language bias. It's language neutral. So for students who we want to assess and they don't speak our language, this would be a good test for them.